The call to arms. The command center of the Galactic Concordat's flagship Eternal Dawn hummed with tense energy. Emergency lights cast an ominous red glow across the faces of the gathered officers. Admiral Vastros, his four arms folded tightly against his crystalline exoskeleton, stared at the holographic display with all three of his compound eyes. "It's accelerating," said his science officer, Tella. Her tentacles wavered nervously as she manipulated the controls. "The void has consumed 3 more systems in the past cycle. At this rate, it will reach the Concordat core worlds in less than 30 rotations." Vastros clicked his mandibles in frustration. For 1,000 years, the Concordat had maintained peace among the civilized species of the galaxy. They had overcome disease, poverty, and even the occasional border skirmish. But nothing had prepared them for the void, a cosmic anomaly that devoured everything in its path, leaving only darkness. "Have we evacuated the border worlds?" Vastros asked, already knowing the answer. "As many as possible," said his second-in-command, Commander Zurax. "But billions remain. The transport networks are overwhelmed." Vastros turned away from the display, his decision already made. He had delayed too long, hoping their technology would find a solution. Now only one option remained, the option he had sworn never to consider. "Prepare my shuttle," he said quietly. "I'm going to Vault 0. A shocked silence fell over the command center. Even Zurax, normally unflappable, blinked her luminescent eyes in alarm. "Admiral," she said carefully, "the Council explicitly forbade." "The Council isn't here," Vastros interrupted. "And they haven't seen what I've seen. Prepare the shuttle." 3 hours later, Vastros stood before a massive titanium door embedded in an asteroid at the edge of charted space. The facility was unmarked on any official star chart, its existence known only to the highest echelons of the Concordat leadership. "Authorization Vastros Omega-7." He spoke to the scanner. "Emergency protocol override." The door slid open silently, revealing a long corridor lined with stasis pods. Vastros walked forward, ignoring the chill that ran through his exoskeleton. In each pod lay a being from what the galaxy called a death world. Planets with environments so hostile that evolution had crafted nightmarish predators and survivors with terrifying capabilities. A millennium ago, these beings had fought a war that nearly tore the galaxy apart. Rather than execute them, which had proven nearly impossible, the early Concordat had negotiated their indefinite stasis. They would sleep until a threat greater than themselves emerged. That day had come. Vastros stopped before the first pod. Inside, a human woman floated in suspension fluid, her dark hair forming a halo around her face. According to the file, her name was Maya Chen, tactical genius, and former commander of Earth's last battle fleet. "Wake her," Vastros ordered the facility eye. Green lights flickered along the pod's surface. The fluid drained away, and the woman's eyes snapped open. Alert, focused, and immediately assessing her surroundings. No confusion, no disorientation. Just instant combat readiness. "You're an admiral," she said, her voice slightly raspy from centuries of disuse. "Concordat, by the look of you. Either I'm being executed, or something worse than me is threatening your precious peace." "The latter," Vastros replied, impressed despite himself. "Something called the void is consuming entire systems. Our weapons can't stop it." Maya stepped out of the pod, rolling her shoulders as if she'd taken a brief nap rather than slept for centuries. "And you think I can?" "Not alone." Vastros moved to the next pod. Inside was a being unlike any human, nearly 3 meters tall, with blue-green skin covered in bioluminescent patterns, webbed hands ending in razor-sharp claws, and a face that seemed more aquatic predator than sentient being. The nameplate read, "Krev, Warlord of Aqualis." Maya's expression hardened. "Him. We were enemies." "I know," Vastros said, "but the records indicate you respected each other." "I respected his ability to kill," Maya corrected. "There's a difference." The pod hissed open, and Krev's massive form emerged. Water dripped from his amphibious skin as his yellow eyes focused first on Maya, then on Vastros. "Human," he rumbled, his voice like stones grinding together. "And a bug wearing an admiral's insignia. Am I awake, or is this a new form of torture?" "We're awake," Maya said flatly. "Apparently something's eating the galaxy, and the mighty Concordat needs us Deathworlders to save them." Krev laughed, a sound like bubbles rising through murky depths. "How desperate they must be to wake us. What happened to too dangerous to exist?" Vastros stepped forward. "I can return you both to stasis after my explanation, or you can help save billions of lives. Your choice." Maya and Krev exchanged a look, brief but laden with history. "Talk," Maya said finally. Vastros activated a holographic projector. The image showed a vast darkness spreading across a star map, systems winking out one by one. "We call it the Void," he explained. "It appeared 6 months ago at the galaxy's edge. At first, we thought it was just an unusual nebula, but then we realized it was consuming. Planets, stars, energy itself, all devoured, leaving nothing behind." "Have you tried communicating with it?" Maya asked. "It doesn't respond to any form of communication. Our most powerful weapons barely slow its advance." Krev moved closer to the hologram, his webbed fingers passing through the representation of the Void. "This is no natural phenomenon. Something this perfectly destructive is created." "Created by what?" Maya asked. "That's what we need to find out," Vastros replied. "And why I need you both. The Void will reach our core world soon. Trillions will die unless we stop it." Maya studied the Admiral. "Why us specifically? Surely in 1,000 years, you've developed better weapons, better soldiers." "We evolved past warfare," Vastros admitted. "Our species focused on cooperation, on science, on healing. We're diplomats and scholars now, not warriors." "Weak," Krev growled. "Practical," Vastros countered. "Until now." Maya walked around the hologram, her military mind already analyzing patterns. "You need us because we come from Deathworlds, because surviving hell makes different kinds of soldiers." "Yes," Vastros said simply. "The Concordat needs what it once feared." "And after?" Krev demanded. "When your crisis passes, back to stasis, or execution this time." Vastros hesitated, then removed his command insignia and placed it on a nearby console. "If you help us, if you save what remains of the galaxy, the Concordat will grant you and your world's full amnesty and membership. My word is Admiral." Maya and Krev looked at each other again. This time, something passed between them, a recognition of shared purpose perhaps, or maybe just the simple understanding that predators sometimes must hunt together. "I'll need a ship," Maya said. "Something fast, with weapons." "I require water," Krev added, "and enemies to kill." Vastros felt relief wash over him. "You'll have both. But first, there's someone else we need." He led them deeper into the facility, to a special containment area. Unlike the other pods, this one was surrounded by energy fields and warning markers. "Who's in there?" Maya asked, suddenly cautious. "The records call him Nyx," Vastros replied. "He's from Umbra, a planet in perpetual darkness. His people evolved to hunt without light." Even Krev looked uneasy. "I fought his kind once, lost half my warriors before we even saw them." Vastros approached the control panel. "The records say he was the most dangerous of all the Deathworlders, but also the most insightful about cosmic anomalies." "You're going to wake something even we're afraid of?" Maya asked incredulously. "Yes," Vastros said, his mandibles set in determination. "Because according to these records, Nyx predicted something like the Void would one day emerge. He called it the hunger between stars." Before either could object further, Vastros activated the release sequence. The pod's shields flickered and died, and the containment field dissipated. The pod itself remained dark, showing no signs of activity. "Is it working?" Maya asked, hand instinctively reaching for a weapon she no longer had. Suddenly, the pod's surface rippled like liquid, and a shape emerged, not from the opening, but through the solid material itself. It moved like shadow given form, a darkness deeper than black, with only the suggestion of a humanoid shape. "Admiral," the darkness whispered, its voice somehow inside their minds rather than in the air. "You've come at last, just as I foresaw." Vastros fought the instinctive fear that gripped him. "You expected this. For 947 years, 3 months, and 6 days, Nyx replied. "The void arrives precisely on schedule." Maya stepped forward, unafraid. "You know what this thing is?" The darkness seemed to focus on her, though it had no visible eyes. "Not what, Commander Chen?" "Who?" Krev growled low in his throat. "Speak plainly, Shadow." "The void is not a natural phenomenon," Nyx explained, his form shifting like smoke. "It is a weapon, wielded by beings from beyond the galaxy's edge. They have done this before, to countless galaxies. They feed on the energy released when civilizations fall." "How do you know this?" Vastros demanded. "Because my ancestors escaped their last harvest," Nyx said simply. "Umbra was not always dark, Admiral. It was made that way, hidden, when the last galaxy fell." Maya's face hardened with resolve. "Then you know how to fight it." "Not alone," Nyx replied, "but perhaps together." Krev laughed his bubbling laugh again. 3 monsters against a galaxy-eating darkness. I like these odds. For the first time in months, Vastros felt something like hope. These beings terrified him. Their capacity for violence, their evolutionary adaptations to survive horrors, their utter alienness even compared to the Concordat's diverse species. Yet they might be the galaxy's only chance. "There's a Concordat battle station near the Void's projected path," Vastros said. "I've ordered it prepared for your arrival. You'll have access to our most advanced technology, whatever resources you need." "We'll need more than technology," Maya said, her tactical mind already racing. "We'll need information, direct observation." "And weapons," Krev added. "Many weapons." Nyx simply drifted toward the exit. "We need to leave now. Time grows short." As Vastros led the 3 Deathworlders toward his shuttle, he couldn't help but wonder if he had made the right choice. Had he just doomed the galaxy by releasing its most dangerous inhabitants, or was this the only way to save what remained? Either way, the die was cast. The Deathworlders had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battle for tomorrow. Battle Station Terminus hung in space like a metal moon, its surface bristling with weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. Originally designed as the Concordat's final line of defense, it now served as the last hope against the approaching void. Maya Chen stood at the observation deck, watching as the darkness crept closer. Even at this distance, the sight disturbed her. Stars simply vanished where the void touched them, leaving behind an absence more profound than mere blackness. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Nyx materialized beside her, his shadowy form rippling. Maya didn't flinch. She was getting used to his sudden appearances. "I wouldn't call it beautiful." "All destruction has beauty," Nyx replied. "Even on Earth, your people found art in ruins." "We also fought to prevent them," Maya countered. The shadow being made a movement that might have been a shrug. "Fighting is what Deathworlders do best. It's why we're here." The door to the observation deck slid open, and Krev entered. The massive amphibian warrior had adapted quickly to being awake again, demanding access to the station's combat simulators and weapons systems within hours of their arrival. "The Concordat soldiers are useless," he growled. "Too soft, too civilized." "They've known peace for 1,000 years," Maya reminded him. "We're the relics of a more violent time." Krev bared his teeth in what passed for a smile among his kind. Lucky for them. Admiral Vastros joined them, accompanied by his science officer, Tela. The Admiral seemed to have aged years in the days since awakening the Deathworlders, the strain evident in his posture and the dullness of his normally iridescent exoskeleton. "The void has accelerated again," he reported. "We have less than 48 hours before it reaches this position." Tella manipulated a control panel, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed detailed scans of the void's edge. "We've detected unusual energy signatures within the anomaly," she explained, her tentacles gesturing at bright spots within the darkness. "They appear to be structures of some kind, possibly ships or installations." Nyx drifted closer to the display. "The harvesters. They hide within the void they create, protected from retaliation." "Can we target these structures?" Maya asked, her tactical mind immediately seeking vulnerabilities. "Not from outside the void," Tella said. "Our weapons dissipate before reaching them. It's as if the void absorbs energy itself." Krev slammed a webbed fist into his palm. "Then we go inside." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications of his words. "Nothing survives inside the void," Vastros said finally. "We've sent probes, drones, even shielded ships. Nothing returns, not even signals." "Nothing from your worlds," Nyx corrected. "But we are Deathworlders. Survival is what we do." Maya studied the hologram, her mind racing through possibilities. "We'd need a ship, something small, maneuverable, with enough shielding to last at least long enough to find these harvesters." "And weapons," Krev added. "Many weapons." Vastros clicked his mandibles anxiously. "We have a prototype scout vessel in the hangar bay. It was designed for extreme conditions, though nothing like the void." "Show us," Maya commanded, already moving toward the door. The ship was sleek and deadly looking, its hull made of some dark material that seemed to absorb light. According to Tela, it was called the Spectre, designed for stealth reconnaissance in hostile territory. "It has the most advanced shielding we've developed," the science officer explained as they walked around the vessel, "and an experimental drive system that can create micro-jumps through space, useful for evasive maneuvers." "Weapons?" Krev demanded, running a clawed hand along the hull. "Limited," Vastros admitted. "It was designed for stealth, not combat." Nyx drifted through the ship's outer hull, inspecting it from within before re-emerging. "It will serve, but it needs modifications." Over the next 24 hours, the three Deathworlders worked with Concordat engineers to prepare the Spectre for its mission. Maya focused on navigation systems, calculating approach vectors that might minimize exposure to the void's effects. Krev installed additional weapon systems, cannibalizing parts from the station's defenses. Nyx spent hours in the ship's engine room, making adjustments that even the Concordat's best engineers couldn't understand. As the work neared completion, Admiral Vastros called them together for a final briefing. "The void will reach this station in less than 12 hours, he said, his voice grave. "We've evacuated all non-essential personnel. The rest of us will hold position as long as possible to support your mission." "A noble sacrifice," Krev said, with surprising respect in his rumbling voice. Vastros' compound eyes fixed on the warrior. "Not a sacrifice, a duty. As is yours." Maya studied the Admiral. "You never said, what happens if we fail?" "The Concordat falls," Vastros replied simply. "And after us, perhaps the entire galaxy. Our long-range scans show the void accelerating exponentially. Theoretical models suggest it could consume everything within a year." The weight of his words settled over them. Even Nyx, normally impassive, seemed to grow more solid, more present. "We won't fail," Maya said firmly. "Deathworlders don't know how." 4 hours later, the Spectre departed Battle Station Terminus, accelerating toward the approaching void. From the pilot's seat, Maya watched the darkness grow larger in the view screen, swallowing stars like a cosmic predator. "Shields at maximum," she reported. "Approach vector locked." Krev occupied the weapons station, his massive frame barely fitting in the chair designed for smaller species. "Weapons hot. Though what good they'll do against that?" He left the thought unfinished. Nix had no need for a conventional station. The shadow being simply merged with the ship's systems, his consciousness spreading through its computers. I sensed them. His voice echoed from the speakers. The harvesters. Their minds are ancient, hungry. Can they sense us? Maya asked, adjusting their course slightly. Not yet, but they will once we enter the void. The edge of the anomaly loomed before them, a perfect boundary between stars and nothingness. Maya felt a primitive fear rise within her, the ancient human terror of darkness and the unknown. She pushed it down. Fear was a luxury Deathworlders couldn't afford. Entering the void in 3, 2, 1. The Spectre crossed the boundary, and everything changed. The ship's systems fluctuated wildly, alarms blaring as power levels dropped. Outside, there was no blackness as they had expected, but a swirling chaos of energy and matter, the remnants of devoured stars and planets being broken down to their component particles. Shields failing. Krev shouted over the alarms. Power at 60% and dropping. Maya fought with the controls, trying to stabilize their course. Nix, where are the harvesters? The Shadow Being's voice came strained through the speakers. 3 vessels. Ahead. Massive. Ancient. Through the chaos outside, Maya caught glimpses of something solid. Vast structures like inverted pyramids, their surfaces covered in glowing patterns. They seemed to pulse in rhythm with the surrounding destruction, as if feeding on it. Those are ships. Krev growled in disbelief. Not ships, Nix corrected. They're more like mouths. Maya made a split-second decision. We can't fight them from here. We need to board one. Are you insane? Krev demanded. Probably, Maya admitted. But our weapons can't penetrate their shields, and this ship is dying. Our only chance is to find whatever controls the void from inside. Before Krev could object further, she locked their course toward the nearest harvester structure. The Spectre shuddered as it pushed through the chaotic energies surrounding them, its shields flickering and failing. 50 meters to contact, Maya announced. Prepare for boarding. Krev checked his weapons, a combination of Concordat energy rifles and the bone blade he had insisted on bringing from his stasis pod. Ready. I will go first, Nix said, his form already detaching from the ship's systems. Their defenses may be unconventional. As they approached the massive structure, an opening appeared in its side, not a door or hatch, but a sphincter-like portal that pulsed with sickly light. They're inviting us in, Maya said grimly. Or they're hungry, Krev countered. The Spectre drifted into the opening, its systems failing completely as they crossed the threshold. Emergency lights activated, casting red shadows across the cockpit. Maya unstrapped from her seat, grabbing her own weapons. No communications with the station now, she said. We're on our own. As we have always been, Nix replied, moving toward the airlock. The interior of the harvester structure defied conventional geometry. Corridors bent at impossible angles, rooms seemed larger inside than their outer boundaries should allow, and everywhere was the sense of being observed by unseen eyes. They moved carefully through the alien environment, encountering no resistance but feeling no welcome either. The air, if it could be called that, felt thick and oily against their skin. Something's wrong, Maya whispered after they had walked for what seemed like hours. Why haven't we encountered any harvesters? As if in answer to her question, the corridor ahead of them rippled, and a figure stepped through what had appeared to be solid wall. It was vaguely humanoid but seemed composed of the same swirling chaos they had seen outside, a being made of broken stars and devoured worlds. Deathworlders, it said, its voice resonating directly in their minds. How unexpected. Krev raised his weapon, but Maya placed a restraining hand on his arm. You know what we are, she said to the entity. We know all that we consume, the harvester replied. Your worlds were marked for later feeding. You should still be sleeping, dreaming of wars long past. Nix drifted forward, his shadowy form seeming more substantial in the presence of the Harvester. "Your kind destroyed my ancestors' galaxy. I have waited a millennium for this meeting." The entity's form shifted, patterns of light within it rearranging. "Ah, you are from the Darkened Ones. A few of you escaped our last harvest. A mistake we won't repeat." "Why?" Maya demanded. "Why destroy entire galaxies?" "Sustenance," the Harvester replied simply. "Your civilizations burn so brightly, create such exquisite energies when they fall. We have fed this way since the first stars ignited." Krev growled deep in his throat. "Then you've never faced Deathworlders before." The entity made a sound like distant thunder, perhaps laughter. "What are 3 specimens against our eternal hunger? You crossed the void to die. Nothing more." Maya stepped forward, her human face set with determination. "We came to deliver a message. The galaxy is under our protection now." "Bold words from extinct species," the Harvester said. "Your Concordat allies fall even now. Soon, all that remains will be ours." "Then let's test that theory," Maya replied, nodding to Nyx. The shadow being had been preparing while they talked, extending tendrils of his essence into the strange matter of the Harvester vessel. Now he acted, pulling, twisting something fundamental in the structure around them. The entity shrieked, a sound that tore through their minds like physical pain. The walls pulsed, the impossible geometry seeming to fold in on itself. "What have you done?" the Harvester demanded, its form flickering. "Your vessels exist partially outside normal space," Nyx explained, his voice strained with effort. "It makes you powerful, but also vulnerable to those who understand the boundaries." Krev didn't waste the opportunity. He fired his energy rifle directly at the distracted entity, the beam cutting through where conventional weapons had failed before. The Harvester's form dispersed like mist, but Maya knew it wasn't truly destroyed. "We need to find the control center," she said urgently. "Nyx, can you sense it?" The shadow being pointed deeper into the structure. "There, where the energies converge." They fought their way forward, encountering more Harvesters now. Some like the first, others in different forms, all hostile. Krev battled with savage joy, centuries of stasis giving way to the pure exhilaration of combat. Maya fought with tactical precision, every move calculated. Nyx moved through solid matter, attacking the Harvesters from directions they couldn't defend. Finally, they reached what could only be the heart of the vessel, a vast chamber containing a pulsing crystal structure that seemed to bend light around it. "The control nexus," Nyx said. "It links all 3 Harvester vessels. It creates and directs the void." "Can we destroy it?" Maya asked, already checking her remaining weapons. "Not with what we have," Nyx replied. "But perhaps we can reverse it." Before he could explain further, a dozen Harvesters materialized around them, their forms more coherent, more threatening. "Enough," one said, its voice overwhelming in their minds. "Your resistance is an amusement, nothing more. Countless civilizations have fallen before us. Yours is no different." Krev laughed, blood from both himself and his enemies dripping from his claws. "That's where you're wrong, Star Eater. We're Deathworlders. We evolved in hell, and we brought it with us." Maya added, activating a device Nyx had helped her create from the Spectre's power core. The Harvesters seemed to sense the danger too late. "What is that?" "A gift," Nyx said, extending his shadow substance to envelop the device. From one predator to another. The device activated, creating a feedback loop with the control nexus. Instead of projecting the void outward, consuming the galaxy, it began to collapse inward, feeding on the Harvesters themselves. The entities screamed, their forms distorting as their own weapon turned against them. The structure around them began to collapse, reality itself seeming to fold inward. "We need to leave," Maya shouted over the chaos. "Now." "The ship is destroyed," Krev reminded her. Nyx extended his form, enveloping both of them. "Hold tight to what makes you real," he instructed. "I will carry us." the shadow being pulled them through dimensions they could not comprehend, through spaces between spaces. Maya felt her consciousness stretching, nearly breaking, but her Deathworld evolution held firm. Krev roared defiance at the forces threatening to unmake him, his warrior spirit refusing to yield. And then, suddenly, they were back on Battle Station Terminus, materializing on the command deck before a stunned Admiral Vastros. "Impossible," the Admiral whispered, all three eyes wide with shock. Through the viewport behind him, they could see the void collapsing in on itself, the stars reappearing one by one as the darkness retreated. "Not impossible," Maya said, exhaustion evident in her voice. "Just improbable." Deathworlder specialty. Krev stumbled to a chair, his massive frame showing wounds that would have killed any Concordat species. "Did we win?" Nyx, his form faint but stable, drifted toward the viewport. "We disrupted their harvest, turned their feeding against them. They won't return to this galaxy, not for millennia, at least." Admiral Vastros approached them cautiously. "Then we owe you everything. The Concordat, the entire galaxy, stands in your debt." Maya exchanged glances with her fellow Deathworlders. "About that amnesty you promised." In the days that followed, as news of the Void's defeat spread throughout the galaxy, the truth about who had saved them caused shockwaves through Concordat society. The beings they had feared and imprisoned for 1,000 years had become their saviors. 3 months later, Maya Chen stood on the observation deck of a new vessel, the Deathworld Alliance, a ship designed specifically for her and her unlikely companions. Beside her, Krev examined the weapons systems with approval while Nyx ghosted through the ship's systems, familiarizing himself with every circuit. Admiral Vastros joined them, now wearing the new insignia of the reformed Concordat, one that included symbols representing Earth, Aqualis, and Umbra. "The Council has approved your proposal," he informed them. "The Deathworlder Defense Force is now officially sanctioned. All formerly quarantined species will be offered citizenship and the chance to serve." "And if the harvesters return?" Maya asked. "Then the galaxy will be ready," Vastros replied. "We've learned that peace must be defended, sometimes with teeth." Krev laughed his bubbling laugh. "And we have very sharp teeth." As the Deathworld Alliance departed on its first mission, to explore the galaxy they had saved and to seek out other forgotten Deathworlders, Maya reflected on the strange twist of fate that had brought them here. From prisoners to protectors in the span of a few months. The galaxy had begged for help, and the Deathworlders had answered. Not out of nobility, perhaps, but out of that most basic Deathworld instinct, survival. And in saving themselves, they had saved everyone else too. "Where to first, Commander?" Nyx asked from the ship's speakers. Maya smiled as the stars stretched before them, no longer threatened by all-consuming darkness. "Everywhere. We have a lot of catching up to do." Behind them, the Concordat worlds continued their peaceful existence, now under the watchful protection of the very monsters they once feared. And somewhere in the vast emptiness between galaxies, the wounded harvesters retreated, carrying with them a new understanding of the creatures that had evolved in hell, and brought that hell with them when called to battle. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same.